Gigabyte have introduced a couple new entry-level gaming laptops into their Aorus lineup at Computex 2019, which should be good for those on a budget. And they also teased a possible upcoming high-end successor to their top-of-the-line Aorus X9. There has been a lot of interest in budget-friendly gaming laptops from Gigabyte, as up until now they only had the Gigabyte Aero and Aorus 15, both of which can be spec'd up quite high. They used to have the Sabre series, which I think used the popular Clevo chassis, and now at Computex 2019 they've got the new Aorus 5 and Aorus 7 entry-level gaming laptops. Let's start with the Aorus 5, which is designed to be the entry-level gaming laptop, and this is reflected by the specs. While the CPU is quite good, it's paired with either a GTX 1650 or 1050 3GB graphics. It's got a 15.6-inch 1080p 144Hz screen with thin bezel design, though the camera is still up the top. On the right, it's got a USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type-A port, USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port with support for DisplayPort 1.2, HDMI 2.0 output, and the power input. On the left from the back, there's a Kensington lock, Gigabit Ethernet, second USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type-A port, 3.5mm audio combo jack, and full-size SD card slot. The lid is matte black like the rest of the machine, and it has some extruded parts and Aorus logo with a mirrored finish. The bottom is fairly standard with some air intakes towards the back, while the back is air exhausts only. The keyboard area is looking pretty standard, with island-style RGB keys with the power button towards the top left, with what appears to be some additional ventilation holes behind the keyboard. So yeah, pretty standard. Nothing too flashy going on, just an entry-level gaming machine with higher-end CPU. Next up, we've got the Aorus 7, which is a larger 17-inch machine with more options in terms of specs. It's got the same 9th gen i7-9750H CPU as the Aorus 5, and also has the same GTX 1053GB or 1650 graphics options, but can also be taken a couple of steps higher to include the GTX 1660 Ti or RTX 2060. The 17.3-inch 1080p 144Hz screen has a thin bezel design, again with the camera still above the screen. Despite its size, the Aorus 7 has a 49 Wh battery, while the smaller Aorus 5 has a 51 Wh battery. For the I/O, from the front to the back, the right has a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-A port, mini DisplayPort 1.2 output, full-size SD card slot, and air exhaust vent. On the left from the back, there's another air exhaust, USB 3.1 Gen 1 and USB 2.0 Type-A port, and 3.5mm mic and headphone jacks. The display outputs can differ a little based on the selected GPU though. On the lid, there's a painted-on Aorus logo on the matte black finish, and some air vents underneath. Towards the back, it looks like the battery is removable, and after closer inspection, this seems to use the Clevo NH70RD chassis. There's some more I/O on the back. From left to right, there's a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port, HDMI 2.0 output, Gigabit Ethernet, and the power input. It's good to see the bulky cables will be out of the way. Aside from the new Aorus 5 and Aorus 7, the Aorus 15 was also on show. That was originally announced at CES as the only new Aorus model at that time, and I've previously reviewed it on the channel if you're after more information. Basically, it's more of a mid to higher tier machine, available with GTX 1660 Ti, RTX 2060 or 2070 graphics, and that's full size, no Max-Q. But wait, that's not all. You may remember that in the past, the Aorus X9 was the top of the line model, featuring an overclockable CPU and high-powered graphics, easily identified by its unique lighting effects. Well, Gigabyte are looking to introduce the Aorus 17 as its successor. Gigabyte haven't provided much information on this machine as it's still a prototype and has not been finalized. So what we're seeing here could change by the time you buy it. For this reason, Gigabyte has not included official information about it. It's just sitting in the suite waiting to be used. With that in mind, let's see what this beast has for us. On the front left and right corners, it's got the same unique lighting as the X9, and this is also found on the back as well. While looking at the back, we appear to have a HDMI output, 2 power inputs, and an Ethernet port. On the left from the back, there's an air exhaust, 2 Type-C ports, USB Type-A port, and 3.5mm audio jacks. On the right, there's a third Type-C port, what appears to be an SD card slot, 2 more USB Type-A ports, and another air exhaust right at the back. On the left and right sides, there appears to be upwards facing speakers. The keyboard is mechanical and felt great to type with, and of course has RGB lighting. Above the keyboard, there appears to be some air intakes to further help with cooling, the power button's in the center, and some more RGB lighting just below the screen. The lid is all black like the rest of the laptop with some grooves, while the mirrored finish Aorus logo appears to flash white to indicate it's asleep, meaning it's not just using the screen's backlight to light up, like we saw with the Aorus 15, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to customize that. Underneath, there are heaps of holes for airflow, as well as those angled feet up the back that they seem to be using to help reduce hot air from being sucked straight back in. It's a little hard to see, but it looks like there's some serious cooling, and what appears to be a subwoofer. There was a spec sheet next to it, but as noted, and like I was told, the actual machine may differ as this is an early model. The specs aren't too specific, but with this thickness and cooling, I wouldn't be surprised to see the 150W RTX 2080 graphics alongside an 8-core 9th gen Intel CPU. But we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think about Gigabyte's new Aorus gaming laptops down in the comments. It's good to see some more options here at Computex, after only getting the Aorus 15 at CES. And I'm interested to see how the new Aorus 17 ends up looking once it's finalized. If you're new to the channel and like tech videos, make sure you get subscribed for the rest of my Computex 2019 coverage.